My wife gave me a list of 7 rules she wanted to enforce in our marriage. In response, I made a single rule of my own, just one, and it brought everything to a standstill. Now, she's the one begging to fix things. Hey folks! Before we get into the story, I want to ask for a quick favor. Lately, the channel's been losing a bit of steam, and if you enjoy the content we share, subscribing is honestly one of the easiest ways to help out. It's totally free, takes 2 seconds, and it makes a huge difference. Your support means more than you know. Let's keep this little corner of the internet growing. Thanks a ton. Alright, let's dive in. Hey Reddit. I'm a 38-year-old guy, and I need to get something off my chest about what's been going on in my marriage. Honestly, I'm still trying to wrap my head around all of it. Let me give you some background first. I work as a construction project manager, pulling in about $110,000 a year. We're not rolling in cash, but we're stable and living comfortably. My wife, Rachel, she's 35, was a dental hygienist back when we first met. She was making around 50 grand a year. We've got an 11-year-old daughter named Lily, and let me tell you, she's the center of my whole world. Rachel and I got married 11 years ago, and back then, she was one of the most down-to-earth people I'd ever met. She brought her own lunch to work every day, wouldn't buy anything that wasn't on sale, and our idea of a date night was splitting a plate of fajitas at this small Mexican restaurant we loved. When the waiter asked about drinks, she'd just smile and say, "Water's fine." I adored that about her. She wasn't caught up in material things. She drove an old Civic that was probably pushing 14 years, and she was genuinely proud of how well she kept it running. We bought a simple 3-bedroom house in a decent neighborhood, nothing flashy, but it had a backyard where Lily could play and the schools nearby were solid. Things felt good. We spent our evenings playing board games, held weekend BBQs with the neighbors, and every Halloween Rachel would spend hours sewing Lily's costumes instead of buying them. Saturday mornings, she'd be up early, hitting garage sales and coming home excited with great finds, barely used toys and clothes for Lily, all for a fraction of the price. One Christmas really sticks with me. Lily was 6 and Rachel spent TW weeks building her a homemade dollhouse. She followed YouTube tutorials, grabbed craft supplies, and made the whole thing herself. It wasn't perfect, the windows were a little lopsided and the paint job looked like a first-timer did it, but Lily adored it more than anything from a store. Rachel cried happy tears watching her play with it that morning. Back then, happiness was waking up on a Sunday and making pancakes together, taking strolls through the park, and piling onto the couch for movie night with bowls of homemade popcorn. Rachel used to say, "Memories are worth more than money," and she truly lived by those words. But everything started to shift about 8 months ago. And at first, it seemed harmless. A friend of a friend invited Rachel to a baby shower being held at the Riverside Country Club. She almost didn't go. "That's not really my crowd," she told me. But I encouraged her. I thought it might be nice for her to socialize, meet new people, get out of the house a bit. When she got home that evening, something was different. Not dramatically so, but enough for me to notice. She talked nonstop about the club, the women she'd met, the houses they lived in, the kind of cars they drove, their outfits and jewelry. "You wouldn't believe the gift table, Noah," she said. "Some of those presents were worth more than what we spend on groceries in a month." At first, I brushed it off. I figured anyone might get a little caught up after getting a glimpse of how the wealthier half lives. But it didn't stop there. Next came an invite to lunch with some of those women. Then a shopping day. After that, she started taking weekly tennis lessons despite never having picked up a racket in her life. This was the same woman who used to make our own laundry soap to save a few bucks. Suddenly, she was dropping $50 on face creams. The same Rachel who once told Lily we didn't need fancy things to be happy was now constantly reminding us of everything we supposedly lacked. The changes weren't overnight, but they came steadily. First, it was what she bought. Everything had to be organic. Everything had to be name brand. Our grocery bill practically doubled. When I brought it up, she just said, "We've been poisoning ourselves with that cheap food. Don't you want better for Lily?" Then came the wardrobe upgrade. Out went the bargain bin deals from Target. In came Lululemon, Anthropologie, and expensive designer jeans. "I can't show up to lunch in Walmart clothes, Noah," she told me. "These women have connections. They could really help your career." But my career didn't need help. I'd worked my way up from being a guy lugging materials on job sites to managing entire projects. All from grinding and proving myself. I didn't need some rich socialite to hand me a leg up. 3 months after she got involved with the country club crowd, Rachel quit her job. Just came home and said, "I'm burnt out." She followed it up with, "Dental hygiene is beneath my potential. Madison says I should focus on networking and building our social capital." And there it was. Madison Chambers, the woman who'd go on to slowly unravel our marriage. She was married to a plastic surgeon who catered to celebrity clients and had never worked a day in her life. Somehow, though, she'd rebranded herself as a life coach and self-styled wellness entrepreneur. I tried to be rational. Rachel, we need your income, I reminded her. There's the mortgage. Lily's future college tuition. She cut me off. That's such limited thinking, Noah. Do you even know how much Madison's husband brings in? $800,000 a year. We're stuck playing in the minors while everyone else is out there winning championships. Everyone else? I asked. You mean the strangers you just met a couple of months ago? But she'd made up her mind. She was done being part of the working class and ready to upgrade her life. It broke me a little to watch her toss aside the career she'd once been proud of, her licenses, her skills, as if they were garbage. But that didn't slow her down. With her paycheck gone, our finances got tight. But somehow Rachel's spending only increased. One day I checked our credit card statement and found an $8,000 initiation fee to the country club. She hadn't even told me she joined. After that it was one thing after another. A personal trainer. Cooking classes she never actually went to. Weekly spa treatments, nails, hair, facials, the works. Lily started noticing too. One morning while I was rushing to pack her lunch, she asked, "Why doesn't Mommy do this anymore?" Trying to hide the resentment in my voice, I muttered, "Mommy's just busy with important things." "More important than me," she said. And that question shattered me because I didn't know how to answer it without telling her something I wasn't ready to say. Even their relationship changed. Rachel used to be the hands-on mom, crafts, games, playtime. Now she was glued to her phone, texting her new clique, watching YouTube videos about attracting abundance and building wealth, or scrolling endlessly through Instagram. When Lily would ask her to play, Rachel would brush her off. "Not now, sweetie. Mommy's working on something." And by something, she apparently meant building her personal brand and strategic connections. Phrases she picked up straight out of Madison's toxic playbook. Then came the real punch to the gut. I sat down one night to go over our bills and nearly fell out of my chair. $11,000. That's how much we'd racked up on the credit card in just 1 month. I combed through the charges, line by line. And that's when I saw it. $2,700. At Nordstrom. $1,100 spent at La Petite Spa. Another $750 thrown at some wealth mindset seminar. Then there were the $300 monthly dues for the country club. A $700 handbag from a boutique I'd never heard of. A $270 dinner with her friends, just one meal. Even Lily's birthday gift was over the top, a $180 designer dress she wore once, hated, and never touched again. On top of that, dozens of smaller purchases that piled up faster than I could track. When I brought it up, Rachel instantly got defensive. "These are investments in our future," she said. "You have to spend money to make money." I just stared at her. "What money are we making exactly?" "You quit your job." "I'm building connections, Noah. You have no idea who Madison knows. Her network could completely change our lives." "Oh, it's changing our lives all right," I muttered. "Right into bankruptcy." She rolled her eyes like I was the problem. "This is exactly why you'll always stay stuck in the middle class. You think too small." That hit harder than I expected. I've been working construction since I was 18. I put myself through night school to earn my project management certification. I didn't coast, I clawed my way up. And suddenly being a solid, dependable provider wasn't enough for her. Around the 7-month mark into this mess, a new name started popping up, Derek. "Derek says we're not leveraging our assets," she'd say. Or, "Derek thinks your 401k is seriously underperforming." Apparently, Derek had incredible investment strategies that we were missing out on. So I finally asked, "Who the hell is Derek?" She lit up like a teenager with a crush. "He's a financial advisor. Very successful. Madison introduced us." Every alarm bell in my head went off. I did some digging. Turned out Derek's office was just a hot desk in a WeWork space. His credentials? A certificate from some sketchy online program. His investment strategies? Mostly crypto and forex, basically legalized gambling dressed up as genius. But Rachel? She was enchanted. The guy wore sharp suits, drove a leased BMW, and promised her 10x returns and effortless income. That was all it took. Last Wednesday, after an exhausting day where 2 of my workers walked off the job and OSHA had flagged one of our sites, I came home completely fried. I'd been up since 4 in the morning, dreaming of leftovers and maybe a quiet hug from Lily. Instead, what I got was a laminated piece of paper sitting on the kitchen counter. Lily was at the table working on homework, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. The paper had a fancy font across the top that read, "Whitaker Family Rules." Yeah, printed and laminated. Probably at FedEx. Probably not cheap either. Rachel stood nearby in a brand new Lululemon outfit, one I knew cost $280, arms crossed like a drill sergeant ready to lay down the law. "What is this?" I asked, already feeling a pit form in my stomach. "Daddy," Lily said softly, "Mommy says you have to follow the new rules now." She looked so uncomfortable, like she'd already heard too much. Lily, go to your room, Rachel snapped. But my homework. Take it upstairs. Now. I watched our daughter quietly gather her books and head off, her shoulders slumped. The way Rachel had been treating Lily lately, sharp, short-tempered, cold, it made my blood boil. Once Lily was gone, Rachel turned to me and said, "We need to talk about some structural changes. Our household lacks proper management systems." I blinked. Management systems? Rachel, we're a family, not a Fortune 500 company. She shoved the laminated sheet into my hands. Just read it. Madison helped me come up with a framework for success. So I read. And with each line, my jaw dropped further. Rule 1. Any purchase over $45 needs wife's approval. Rule 2. GPS location must be shared at all times. Rule 3. Weekly personal allowance capped at $180. All remaining funds managed by wife. Rule 4. No overtime allowed without written permission 72 hours in advance. Rule 5. All social plans require prior approval and full guest list. Rule 6. Any password changes must be disclosed within 24 hours. Rule 7. Weekend plans must be submitted for approval by Wednesday at midnight. This is a joke, right? I asked, looking up. Do I look like I'm joking? She snapped back. Every high-functioning household operates on systems. Do you think Madison's family got to where they are by winging it? Madison's husband inherited a plastic surgery practice from his dad. He does boob jobs for influencers. Rachel's face twisted in disgust. At least he's driven. At least he provides for his family the way he's supposed to. I do provide, I said, trying to stay calm. We live in a plain 3-bedroom ranch, Noah. Madison has a wine cellar. A wine cellar? You don't even drink wine. That's not the point. I took a breath, steadying myself. Rachel, these rules are insane. I'm the only one with a job right now. She cut me off. Managing our household is a full-time job, Noah. Do you have any clue how hard it is to maintain our social status? What social status? We're a middle-class family living in the suburbs. Exactly, she shouted. And I'm sick of it. I'm tired of being a nobody. Tired of discount stores and clipping coupons and pretending that's enough. It was enough for 11 years. Well, I was asleep for those 11 years. But not anymore. So I decided to test how serious she was. The next morning, I stopped at the corner coffee shop I've been going to for years. Bought myself a regular black coffee. $4. That's it. Before I even got to work, my phone buzzed. Did you just make a purchase without approval? Rachel texted. It's a coffee, Rachel. $4. Rule 1 clearly states a. I hung up. When I got home that night, she taped something to the fridge. A violation notice. I kid you not. Strike 1. Like I was on some twisted baseball team. That weekend, I told her I was taking Lily to the Science Museum. Did you submit the outing for approval by Wednesday night? She asked, not even looking up from her phone. I don't need permission to take my own daughter to a museum. Rule 7 clearly says it. It's nonsense, Rachel. Lily wandered in, all excited in her dinosaur t-shirt, backpack slung over one shoulder. Are we still going to the space exhibit, Daddy? Of course we are, sweetheart. No, you're not, Rachel cut in. No approval, no outing. Lily's face dropped. But Mommy, Daddy promised. Then Daddy should have followed the rules. Go play in your room. I watched my little girl tear up as she walked away, crushed. And that was the moment something broke inside me. But I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I started plotting. While Rachel was off at her weekly wealthy women wind down, yes, that's actually what they called their midweek wine-drunk gossip session, I started digging. I went through every credit card statement, top to bottom. And it was worse than I'd imagined. $16,000 in debt. Just over the past 7 months. Cash advances. High-end dinners while she claimed she was networking. A $3,550 charge at a jewelry store I'd never even heard of. And then I found it. A second credit card completely hidden from me. She'd opened it using both of our info but had the statements sent to a paperless account. The balance? 11 grand. But the worst part? Our savings account. The $60,000 we'd spent years building for Lily's future? Only $19,200 left. Turns out Rachel had been dipping into our savings, quietly moving money around to fund her new lifestyle. And not small amounts either, real transfers. The kind that made my stomach turn. This wasn't just overspending anymore. This was full-on financial betrayal. That's when I decided to look into Madison a little more closely. A quick scroll through her Facebook gave me a lot more than I expected. Madison Chambers. 39 years old. Married to Dr. Bradley Chambers for over a decade. No kids by choice, as she made painfully clear in every post, usually next to some flashy handbag or a filtered beach shot from Turks and Caicos. She ran a so-called lifestyle coaching business that basically boiled down to posting Instagram reels about manifesting abundance and reprogramming your wealth mindset. Her reviews? All glowing 5-star testimonials from other women at the same country club. It looked less like a business and more like a pyramid scheme of rich women convincing less rich women to pretend they were rich by spending money they didn't have. But then I stumbled onto something that actually shocked me, a news article from 2 years ago. Local plastic surgeon sued for malpractice. Dr. Chambers had messed up multiple procedures badly. They'd settled out of court, but his reputation took a serious hit. Their picture-perfect wealth? Probably hanging by a thread. And Derek, the so-called financial genius? Even worse. Turns out Derek Kozlowski had a trail of failed ventures behind him, including a crypto consulting firm that vanished after a flood of complaints. He'd been sued for fraud twice and settled both times to avoid trial. His new wealth management company? Registered to a P.O. box. His fancy Maserati? Leased. And that slick office? Just a shared desk he rented by the day to impress clients. I printed everything. Made myself a neat little folder. I wasn't ready to throw it in Rachel's face yet, but I knew the day was coming and I wanted to be prepared when it did. While I was piecing all this together, I started noticing a pattern, and I wasn't the only guy caught up in it. Through a little social media snooping, I realized there was a whole twisted network of wives doing the same thing. That's how I found Ben. He was married to a woman named Vanessa, another one of Madison's coaching clients. She guilted him into cashing out his entire 401k to buy her a Range Rover. Then there was Ryan. His wife, Megan, convinced him to take out a second mortgage for some once-in-a-lifetime investment that totally flopped. There were at least 3 more guys in the exact same boat, each dealing with these ridiculous household rules, financial control games, and the ghost of Derek promising passive income and financial freedom. I messaged Ben on LinkedIn, pretending I needed advice on a renovation project. We met up for coffee, and within minutes, we were trading horror stories. It's like they're in a cult, he said, shaking his head. Vanessa used to be normal, man. Now it's all boss babe this, leveling up that. She hasn't cooked dinner in months, but somehow she spent $4,000 on a purse last week. We started a group chat with the other husbands. The stories matched up almost exactly: power trips, control, manipulation, money draining down the toilet, and Derek at the center of it all, peddling his get-rich-quick gospel. While all of this was blowing up, Lily was slowly fading in the background. Rachel's neglect had turned from occasional to constant. Lily would come home from school eager to share something from her day, and Rachel wouldn't even look up from her phone. Not now, Lily. Mommy's busy. Her teacher sent home a note one day. Lily had won an art contest. Rachel's reaction? A half-hearted "that's nice, sweetie," while furiously texting her friends about whatever petty drama was going on in the wives group chat. Lily started acting out. Not in a big, alarming way, just small things. Seeking attention any way she could. Then her teacher called me. She keeps asking if she's too expensive, the teacher said. She didn't want to go on the class trip. Said her mom would get mad about the cost. That didn't sound like my daughter. That wasn't Lily. That night, I walked into her room and found her counting coins from her piggy bank. "What are you doing, sweetheart?" I asked gently. She looked up and said, "I'm saving money so mommy won't get mad. If I pay for my own stuff, maybe she'll want to play with me again." I didn't know whether to cry or scream. My 8-year-old was trying to fix our family's money problems. That was the moment I knew something had to give. Everything came to a head the following Thursday. Rachel had gone into full dictator mode. She was updating her rules daily like she was running a software patch. Rule 1.5, grocery purchases must include photographed receipts. Rule 3.5, personal spending allowance can be taken away for bad attitude. Rule 5.5, coworkers don't count as approved social contacts. She kept teasing something big on the horizon. "Derek and Madison are working on a wealth acceleration plan for us," she'd say with this smug little grin. That night, she called a family financial summit. Her words, not mine. "We need to discuss Jason," she said as we sat down. "Jason?" I asked. "I thought your financial guru was Derek." "Derek introduced me to Jason," she said. "He specializes in cryptocurrency. He has an opportunity that could change everything for us." She pulled out a glossy folder filled with graphs, buzzwords, and upward-sloping charts. Total scam vibes. Looked like something you'd get at a timeshare seminar. "Jason says if we invest $150,000 now, we could earn 700% in 10 months. I nearly choked. "We don't even have $150,000. She smiled. "We have your 401k. I stared at her, stunned. "Absolutely not. Don't be so close-minded, Noah. Madison already invested. So did Vanessa. They're on track to be millionaires, and we're still buying store-brand cereal. Rachel, this is a con. Nothing legit promises 10 times your investment in half a year." She turned red. "This is why we're stuck. You have no vision. No ambition." "No, I have something better, common sense." She snapped back. "Rule 6 says it." "Screw your rules. That's when I calmly pulled out my own laminated sheet. Yeah, I'd made one. Got it printed at the exact same FedEx she used. My rule? Just one. All family rules apply equally to both spouses. No exceptions. She laughed. But it wasn't a confident laugh. It was uneasy. That's not how this works. It's exactly how this works. From now on, every rule you created applies to you too. $40,000 college fund. You want my GPS? Then I get yours. You want to approve my purchases? I approve yours. You want my passwords? Then hand me your phone. That's ridiculous, she stammered. Is it? Because I've got some charges here I'd love to talk about. Like that $650 dinner at Lou Bernardine last Tuesday. You told me you were at book club. Her face went white. How did you? Rule 6, babe. Password sharing. Your email account was full of surprises. I pulled out the investigation folder I'd put together. Let's talk about Derek Kozlowski, the guy who's been investigated for fraud. Or Madison, whose husband has malpractice suits stacking up. Or this Jason guy who doesn't even show up in any actual financial registry. Right then, her phone started blowing up. Non-stop buzzing. The wives group chat was in meltdown. Turns out, several of the other husbands had also been pitched the same crypto fantasy and we'd all started comparing notes. What happened next felt like watching a house of cards collapse. Turns out Ben's wife Vanessa had been sleeping with Derek. Ryan's wife Megan? She handed Jason 60 grand from their retirement account and surprise, the guy vanished. Madison's whole glamorous life? Fake. Her husband had just found out she'd been secretly funneling money to cover her mother's gambling addiction while playing pretend rich on Instagram. The whole shiny, curated illusion of the wealthy wives' circle collapsed in on itself. These women weren't rich. They were acting rich and dragging their families through financial hell to keep up the act. Rachel's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. I caught snippets of the chaos lighting up her screen. Emergency meeting. Now. Did your husband find out about Jason? Derek's not responding. Madison's getting divorced. Rachel started unraveling right in front of me. This is all your fault, she screamed frantic. You ruined everything. I stared at her stunned. You think I ruined everything? You drained our daughter's college fund. You buried us in debt. You emotionally walked out on our kid. I was trying to give us a better life, she shouted. No, you were building a fantasy life for yourself. And you were willing to destroy the real one to make it happen. Then from the hallway came a voice that shattered both of us. Why are you yelling? Lily stood in the doorway, tears streaking down her little face. Rachel barely even glanced at her. Not now, Lily. Mommy's dealing with something important. I am important. Lily cried. I'm your daughter. But all you care about are your mean friends and your stupid rules. Don't speak to me like that, Rachel snapped. Why not? Lily sobbed. You don't talk to me at all anymore. And for a split second, I saw something flicker in Rachel's expression, maybe guilt, maybe recognition, but it vanished just as fast, replaced with the same defensive coldness I'd come to expect. This is your father's fault, she muttered to Lily. He's ruining our chance at a better life. Lily just shook her head. I don't want a better life. I want my mommy back. The one who made cookies with me. The one who didn't think I cost too much. That night, Rachel packed a bag and left. She said she was staying with Madison. That lasted, one day. Madison's husband had kicked her out too. Froze their accounts. Changed the locks. Rachel ended up at her sister's place and that's when the calls started. Hourly, sometimes more. 1 minute she was threatening legal action, the next she was crying and begging me to take her back. The next morning I took a personal day from work and sat down with a divorce attorney. The case was cut and dry. Financial infidelity. Credit cards she'd opened without me. Secret accounts. The money missing from her savings. Investment scams. It was all documented. The lawyer didn't sugarcoat it. She's destroyed your financial stability and you've got solid evidence of emotional neglect when it comes to your daughter. You've got a strong case for custody and limited alimony. I also filed fraud alerts with the banks and credit card companies. It wouldn't bring the money back, but at least it would stop her from causing more damage. Rachel tried to fight back at first. Somehow she scraped together a lawyer, don't ask me how, and demanded everything. Alimony, the house, and shared custody of Lily. Her lawyer dropped her 2 weeks later when her retainer check bounced. She tried representing herself after that. It went exactly how you'd expect. When the judge looked over the financial records and especially saw the part where she drained Lily's college fund to buy handbags and spa packages, his expression shifted to something close to disgust. Mrs. Whitaker, he said flatly, you've shown a pattern of financial recklessness and parental neglect that is, frankly, alarming. Rachel tried to talk her way out of it. She started rambling about investing in our future and building social capital. But the judge cut her off. In the final ruling, I was granted primary custody of Lily. Rachel was given supervised visitation and 6 months of minimal alimony. She was also held fully responsible for the debts she'd racked up under her name. And the fallout? Epic. Madison's husband filed for divorce and moved to Florida with their assets. Vanessa's affair with Derek got splashed across local gossip blogs. Megan? Her husband was suing her for financial fraud. 3 other marriages in their group blew up. Derek disappeared. Probably left the state, maybe the country. And Jason, the crypto guru? Turned out he was Derek's cousin and he got arrested for running a Ponzi scheme. Even the country club couldn't escape the chaos. They started revoking memberships for unpaid dues. The Wealthy Women Wind Down Club officially shut down after a public meltdown in the dining room, 2 wives, 1 Chardonnay glass, and a screaming match that ended in broken stemware. After the divorce, Rachel's new persona crumbled fast. Without my income, she couldn't keep up the facade. Her designer wardrobe? Gone. The luxury SUV? Repossessed. Her so-called friends disappeared as fast as her spending power did. She moved back in with her sister for a while, but that didn't last. Rachel had gotten used to being pampered and doing nothing. Her sister, a nurse who worked long hours, had 0 patience for it. 3 months later, Rachel got a job at a dental clinic. Not as a hygienist, she'd let her license lapse and couldn't afford the courses to renew it. She worked reception. Minimum wage. Every now and then I'd see her around town. Her outfits were plain. Her car, a beat-up Toyota that looked about 16 years old, rattled when she parked. Then, 6 months after the divorce, the phone calls changed tone. Noah. I can't make rent this month. That's not my problem anymore, Rachel. I'm still Lily's mother. Do you want her to know I'm homeless? You should have thought of that before you emptied her college fund. The manipulation came thick and fast. I've changed. I see what's important now. Lily needs her mom. I was surrounded by toxic people. I never stopped loving you. But all I heard was noise. Because actions have consequences. This was the same woman who used to roll her eyes at our boring, middle-class life. Now she was begging just to keep a roof over her head. The true redemption arc here wasn't mine, it was Lily's. With Rachel gone, my daughter began to heal. Her grades went up. She rejoined art club and dance class. She stopped asking if she was too expensive. She smiled again. Laughed more. Played more. Came back to life. We went to therapy together and our counselor was amazing. She helped Lily understand in kid terms that her mother's behavior wasn't her fault. Sometimes, the therapist said gently, people get confused. They start thinking money and stuff matter more than people. Lily nodded slowly. Mom thought being fancy was better than being happy. That's a really wise thing to say, the therapist replied. And how do you feel about that? Lily smiled. I think being happy is better. Daddy and I aren't fancy. But we have fun. Update, 1 year later. It's been a full year since that night I found the laminated rules on our kitchen counter. Yeah? Life's quiet. Peaceful. Lily and I have our rhythm, Saturday morning pancakes, Sunday bike rides, and Wednesday night pizza and board games. Simple things. Real things. And I wouldn't trade any of it for all the wine cellars in the world. I'd gotten a promotion at work not long after everything went down. Funny thing is, I probably wouldn't have gotten it if I'd actually followed Rachel's ridiculous no overtime rule. With the raise, Lily and I were able to move into a slightly bigger place. Nothing flashy, just a comfortable home in a better school district for her. Rachel would have called it tragically middle class, but to us, it was perfect. It was ours. And we were happy. Meanwhile, the messages from Rachel started coming less often, but when they did, they were more pitiful. She just lost another job. This time for suspected theft. Guess some habits really do die hard. Her sister had finally had enough and kicked her out. Last I heard, she was crashing in a rundown weekly motel, scraping by with a part-time job at a grocery store. Her latest text just said, please. I have nothing left. I've lost everything. I just need enough to get back on my feet. I didn't reply. She had everything. A stable, loving home. A kind husband. A daughter who adored her. A peaceful life. And she threw it all away to chase some fantasy built on lies and ego. Last month, Lily and I were at the mall shopping for her birthday. She wanted some new art supplies and a science kit. Nothing extravagant, but she was beaming with excitement. That's when we saw Rachel. She looked rough. Worn out. No makeup, at least none that worked anymore. The stress showed in her eyes. Her skin. Her posture. She was wearing baggy, off-brand clothes from a clearance rack. The kind she used to mock. Lily, she called out, her voice hopeful, desperate. Oh my God, you've grown so much. Lily stiffened next to me but stayed polite. Hi, Mom. Rachel took a few steps toward her. Can I have a hug? Lily looked up at me. I gave a small nod. If you want to, sweetheart. She stepped forward and gave Rachel a quick, awkward hug. The kind of hug you give a stranger at a funeral. Rachel clung too long, too tight. I miss you so much, she whispered, tearing up. Do you miss Mommy? Lily paused, then answered with the kind of brutal honesty only a 11-year-old can pull off. I miss the old Mommy. The one who made cookies and played games. Rachel's face twisted like she'd just been slapped. I can be her again, she said quickly. I've changed. Haven't I, Noah? Tell her I've changed. I said nothing. This wasn't my redemption to grant. Are you happy? Rachel asked Lily, her voice cracking. Yes, Lily answered simply. Daddy and I have fun. We're not rich, but we're happy. Rachel's voice cracked. But you could have so much more. I don't want more, Lily cut in. I just wanted a mom who loved me more than fancy things. Rachel's knees nearly gave out. She stood there, in the middle of that mall, absorbing the truth. Not the kind she could spin or deflect, but the kind that lands deep and cuts clean. As Lily and I walked away, I heard her crying. Not her usual crocodile tears, the practiced sobs she'd weaponized for years. No, this was something raw. Real. Broken. Lily looked up at me. Did I say something wrong? I shook my head. No, sweetheart. You told the truth. And yeah, sometimes the truth hurts. But that doesn't mean it's wrong. She nodded, thinking it over. I hope she finds her way back to being nice again. A pause. But what? I'm glad we're okay without her. Is that bad? No, baby, I said. That's not bad at all. That's called being healthy. Final update. It's been a year and a half since the day Rachel handed me those ridiculous laminated rules. She still texts from time to time, usually around birthdays or holidays. Always asking for money. Always promising she's different now. Always blaming someone else. The so-called country club wives club? Long gone. Scattered and defeated. Madison moved back to her hometown in quiet embarrassment. Vanessa's working behind the front desk at a local clinic. Megan? She's living with her parents again, trying to rebuild. As for us husbands, we still have our group chat. It's less venting now and more support system. We share parenting hacks, custody tips, and the occasional laugh over the bizarre messages we still get from our exes. Lily? She's doing amazing. She's thriving in advanced art classes, making straight A's, and surrounded by friends who adore her. Her confidence has returned in full. She still sees Rachel once a month. Supervised visits only. They usually end with Rachel overpromising and Lily nodding politely, knowing better now. Last week, Lily said something that floored me. Dad, remember when Mom made all those rules? I remember, I said. And you made one rule that fixed it all? What rule was that, sweetheart? She grinned. That rules should be fair for everyone. That was smart. Thanks, baby. She nodded thoughtfully. I think the most important rule is just be nice to people. And don't spend money you don't have. Out of the mouths of babes. Rachel had wanted 7 rules. 7 little chains to control and manipulate. I gave her one. A rule that exposed everything for what it was. Because control only works when it's one-sided. The second it's equal, it stops being structure and shows itself as pure manipulation. But maybe Lily's right. Maybe the only rules we actually need are the simple ones. Be kind. Don't live beyond your means. Care more about people than you do about things. Love your family more than you love your image. Rachel forgot all of that, and it cost her everything. Lily and I, we remember it every single day. And because of that, we have everything that matters. Funny how that works out.